G'day guys, back with the Circle, and today we're going to bring back the Scrubdown because it's New Year's Day and we can. And we're going to be recording something to do with the competition winners, winner, who has been emailed, and we're just waiting on a response from them before we announce any winners. Or winner, I keep saying winners, but in truth, in reality, only one person could win. The rest of you suck. So Kat is joining me to do the scrub down. Say hi to the good people, Kat.
Hey, I'm back. Kind of.
Are you going to tell them where you've been, or?
Been around. Haven't been doing much. Had to move. Had to change work. A lot of stuff's been happening. But with that, a lot of nothing's been happening. I'm at the moment. Got 2 days until an event, and I'm rushing to get some agents done, and also some Thalax. So that's what I've been up to. I've got, yeah.
It's great how you just accidentally wandered into having a Mechanicum army.
I know. It's not really Mechanicum. It's Xenar 2. Xenar 2 was not really part of the Mechanicum. They just happened to be kind of the same thing when they got stumbled upon. I'm like, oh, you guys kind of do the same thing as these guys. And he's like, yep, sure, whatever, leave us alone. But for the agents, it's the Sisters of Sidonia or something. I'll put them up on the Instagram once they're done.
We were talking about this last night. I'm like, I have no clue who the Sisters of Sidonia are. I only know the Knights of Sidonia, which is a band.
Right, that's right. And I'm like, what? But there is 30k Heresy 30k AU, right? Oz 30k A whatever it is.
Yeah.
They put out that PDF, and all amongst the agents, the Sidonia, I think you have 1 to 3. They're like 5s across the board for their stats, and they move an extra 3 inches, so it's a 9-inch move. And I think they've got a pretty good assault and stuff like that. So, and they've got those percussion sword things that the Mechanicus assassin robots have. So it's AP4 in the first round of combat, then AP2 in the second. So it just works really well. It's 180 points per squad, so that also limited my laziness of how much I'm going to have to rush and stay up painting. So yeah, they look good. I used the Wargamer exclusive female Mechanicum chicks with the Mechanicus swords from Games Workshop. Did Kat buy official Games Workshop swords? I don't know. Talking about myself in the third person, I just don't want to incriminate myself if I didn't. That's all. So yeah, and it fits really well. These swords fit really well with these Mechanicum chicks. So if anyone's looking out to make these agents, I'm definitely going to put them up on Instagram because it's just such a good conversion. And I think if you want to spice up your Horus Heresy stuff, that works really well. Also, I've made my chick. Sorry, I have my HQ. It's the one with a photon thruster, mastercrafted photon thruster, and I've just painted her red as well. So I am probably going to shift into having a normal Mechanicum army, not just a Xenar 2 army. So horrible. What has happened to me? Marines is so overplayed, man. You try and choose a chapter that no one else has, but it's just trying to be that unique. It's not that easy. Even in a small heresy community, someone's doing Space Wolves and you do Space Wolves as well, well then you're just really doubling up, I feel. I like to have that uniqueness and have a different flavor for someone to play against, so they're not playing the same thing over and over. I think Mechanicus does that to an extent, but the event itself is going to be in South Australia, and it's 2,000 points of like limited to 1 tank, like no greater
like a
than 4
demi-centurion type thing.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, so no Lords of War and stuff. No monstrous creatures, which is hard being Mechanicus because most of 90% of my army is monstrous creatures. So yeah, it's just going to be. I'm taking like 2 knights, 2 squads of 3 Thalax with melter guns, squad of 6 with photon thruster. HQ's got the mastercrafted photon thruster, and then I've got the 2 squads of sisters with the crazy swords, which they're an elite choice, and I also am taking this thing called a Dark Pariah. And the fluff behind that, if you download the doc, it's all there, but it's basically it's a silence kind of person, or someone that doesn't have a presence in the warp, and they've taken that person and corrupted them with a demon. And 240 points, 200 points, 50 points if you want to give them a special weapon, which I did because, again, points. But I'm just going to use my faithful head in a jar, which I'm pretty sure is on the Instagram page.
Yes, it is.
Alright, so
Somewhere.
yeah, check out that head in a jar. That's going to be representing a 250 point model.
As you can see, I have a new body.
The problem with that miniature itself, sorry, not the miniature, but in the game, is I think it has every single special rule. Positive special rule. So that's an issue. So I'm going to have to print that out probably and reference that, because that's every single special rule it has.
You just upgraded the fuck out of it to
get
points up, or
standard is you can only upgrade it to have that special sword, which I think it's like either does something to Cyphers or something, which is what the campaign's based around. But yes, I did add everything I possibly can. I'm taking 2 baby knights as well, though, so I'm the hero in this situation. Who else is spending 125 points on a miniature that's crappier than a Contemptor Dreadnought? Cat, that's who. Because I'm taking Sisters and said, man, this is out of control. But hopefully I get it done in time. Just putting silvers down on stuff at the moment, and yeah, get some oils out on them, and then do the bases probably. And I'm gonna do probably the bare minute on this because I'm running out of time and patience, and I've got other appointments to get to, unfortunately.
Don't we all?
So yeah, should be interesting. Should be good. I believe the temperature should be about 40 degrees on the day as well, so yikes. Guess it'd be shorts and thongs. No, I don't rock thongs. I'm a shoes kind of boy, but still. I think some beverages will be needed. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. How about you? You've been doing much in the scene? I saw you went to an event
Painting
recently.
lots of Age of Sigmar stuff.
Yeah, I get a lot of messages from people. I don't know why they're embarrassed to message you, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of people asked, is Maka playing Age of Sigmar now? And I just say, hey, he's probably reviewing it or something. I don't know. But I have heard you say that this second version of Age of Sigmar isn't that bad.
Correct. I always like to give Games Workshop their due. If they do something good, I'll say they're doing something good. If they're doing something bad, I will say they're doing something bad. And there's no real in between. And part of being able to do this is actually trying things out. So obviously I tried out Age of Sigmar under the new edition to see if it was better than the previous edition, and it's much better actually. I really like what they've done with it. Now, I know there's a lot of purists out there, like the IRS boys who will never touch Age of Sigmar with a fucking 12-foot pole, and I get why, because obviously they love the old world. But I just detach myself from it. I'm like, I don't really care about the fluff so much. It's going to need like 10 years of fluff to establish it before it's something interesting and unique that's really good. Right now, it's still in those initial baby steps of trying to become its own thing. But I just see it as just a fantasy world skirmish game. That's all it is, It's a completely different thing to Warhammer Fantasy, and if you try and equate the two, you're only going to end up fucking disappointed, I think. So, take it on its own merits. It's not like they took something and they're trying to masquerade as something else. It's not like they took Warhammer Fantasy and they're saying this is the exact same game but more streamlined. It's not. It knows, it's self-aware enough to say that no, this is a completely different game and different style of game to Warhammer Fantasy, whereas 8th edition 40k is trying to pretend that it's the exact same thing with all the same existing universe and such, and the same history as what's come before, when clearly it's not, which I
That's
find
an
insulting.
interesting point, dude, that you say that at least it was more self-aware to say that it was a different game, it isn't the same thing, which I think, and Fantasy was always perceived as more of that mature sort of game, and I guess that's it still sucks, and I don't agree with it, but at least it's something rather than trying to shill or penny and dime people, I guess.
Well, let's put this another way. Imagine if Age of Sigmar was to 8th edition fantasy what 8th edition 40k is to 7th edition 40k. Age of Sigmar would be the Empire, Balthazar Gelt or something, creating superhuman knights instead of his regular Empire warriors or something, and they would be the Stormcast Eternals, or Sigmar comes back to that world, something like that, and then it tries to pretend that no, this is the same world that it's always been. You'd be like, what the fuck? Which is how I see 40k. It's like it's trying to pretend that it's still a continuation of the existing universe, but it does a lot of, like, for every step forward that's positive it makes, it also takes one step back and does something that's ludicrous or retarded that you just sit there going, why did the people making this game, well, the background behind the game I'm talking about here, why did they make this choice?
Yeah, fair point. And I mean, I actually went into a Games Workshop recently in the city, and some kid, what was I doing? I was talking to someone that was going to, or preparating, or they were on the fence about going to this event that I'm going to Saturday. And there was a dude painting Tau across the table. They were good looking Tau, and props to him and doing that. But he said, "Oh, was he even painting? I don't know. I don't think it was a Tau guy now. I think it was some. No, he was painting those gore guys from Warcry. Right? Okay, now I remember. No, it wasn't Tau guy. Tau guy knew better enough to deal with Drunk Cat. But anyways, so Drunk Cat goes in there, and I'm trying to pump this dude up to paint his Horus Heresy stuff and get the hell away from Age of Sigmar for period of time. And because I try and pimp it for Chris and Frankie, the two organisers here. They put in a lot of work, and it's only a $30 I think this time. Last time it was $25. They've been out of pocket. They're out of pocket thousands of dollars, so they just do it for the love of it, basically. And they put on a really good show, and I really like it. In any case, so I was doing that, and then this dude. What was I doing? We were just talking about 30k. I wasn't even talking to this other motherfucker across the table either. And Mother Trucker. I said Mother Trucker YouTube, by the way. And it's like, oh, 30k, haha, Space Marines. I'm like, what? Oh man, I took a lot of restraint, but just like, oh yeah, Space Marines. Ha. Funny how I play Mechanicum, or good old Imperial Militia, or Solar Ox, and how I can do more with Imperial Militia than I can do with anything else on the shelf of Games Workshop. It's like, it's just, I hate that damn mentality. It's like, we get it. You're a pervert and you want to do stuff to aliens. Good for you. How's that affect miniatures? Anyway, I don't even want to go down that because there's some weird stuff people do with miniatures on the internet, which is weird. Really, really
one man, one drop pod.
Yeah, just there's some very interesting mediums people use on their miniatures. I don't know. Anyway, hey, it's
Yes.
2020 now, right? 2020, bringing back the Scrubdown. What's the go with Games Workshop? I haven't been on the Games Workshop website for a very long time.
I officially decided the Roundtree era is better than the Kirby era, but a lot of the damage is already being done. Prices specifically, like, it's pretty outrageous. Like, some of these bundles, like the Dark Angels made to order collection here, you could go out and buy yourself a brand new like Xbox One S.
Holy!
For like that kind of price, $438 is more than rent is in a capital city in Australia, unless you live, I don't know, Bondi Beach in Sydney.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's
just ridiculous.
That's pretty ridiculous. My rent at the moment, I live in the desert though. It's $290 a week. It's a 3-bedroom house though, so.
Yeah, well, that's like a week and a half's rent
and
right there.
I spend maybe $100 and something a week on food for 2 people. And I've heard of families feeding, like, families of 4, 5 people for less than that.
You know what's funny? I did that video the other day on why I dislike 8th edition. Like, titled Why I Dislike 8th edition, not why 8th edition is objectively crap and any opinions other than this are all invalid. Slight difference in the terminology there, which people don't get when they comment. But this one guy was like, well, it's financially successful. And it's like, that's obviously his way of saying it's a good game. I don't get this argument. Like, there are plenty of things that have sold well but are objectively bad.
Like crack.
Yeah, or meth. There's another good Adelaide favourite.
Good old heroin. It's fine. Street heroin, black tar heroin's fine, dude.
Heroin and cocaine is cocaine especially is way too expensive for our druggos. Our druggos are clearly on methamphetamine. Made in a bathtub.
Yeah, hey, if that's ever a thing, I mean, you can always just add some embalming fluid to your cigarettes or weed or whatever it is you're doing. Apparently that's all the rage now for kids. Delicious. Yeah, I don't get why people with the comments, dude. I do go there now and then, and I try to sort through some of the comments, and it's just like, what? Some of them have to be bots, like actual. Same with the emails that we get. Some of them are actual bots. Like, I'm not talking like.
Yeah, we get some retarded
there is
shit
no
sometimes.
other way. Like, I can't. And if it isn't, I'm scared. I'm actually scared, and that's why I'm determined to self-defense and people owning guns, because the people making those comments, imagine how they act in real life. Oh, anyway, it's insane amounts of stuff.
Well, the first bundle I'd like to look at is this Blood Angels one called the Spear of Baal collection, which is the most eclectic collection I've seen in a long time. Because it's got a unit of Primaris Marines, a Predator, a set of Sanguinary Guard, a set of the Old Death Company, the new Mephiston, and the monoposed Blood Angels Captain with the Thunderhammer. It is the most eclectic fucking mix and costs an arm and a leg. We've not spoken about the new Mephiston on this channel. I haven't spoken about it at all. Do you have any personal thoughts on Mephi and his new model?
I remember when it came out. There's something specific. I think it's his other hand, not his plasma. There's a difference with him picking his nose or something.
Oh yeah. He's got this one hand where he's like holding it up or holding up a heart or something. Yeah, it looks like he's picking his nose from the right angle. I'll try and find it.
Why is he picking his... That's my biggest criticism.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. Just going to find his 3D model.
Yeah, I like this set because it's 420. At least if they're trying to penny and dime you, at least they're taking the piss out of you as well.
You can blaze it.
It's 420, haha, blaze it. Hold up. Here's a question: Do the Primaris become? Do they have the Black Rage?
Yeah, apparently they have.
Blood Angels?
Apparently they have the Red Thirst and the Black Rage.
Right. So
they're
looking
perfect,
at this,
but not perfect.
So just looking at this, once they succumb to that, they chop them? They chop their legs off at the knees and put them in some old power armor, or what happens here?
I don't know, but it's weird because we were specifically told.
Yeah, it looks like you've succumbed to the rage there, old fella. Here's the bandsaw, and get into some old power armor because we're not putting the resources in to make black Primaris armor. So enjoy that. It's a bunch of Primaris guys in freaking wheelchairs aggroing across the battlefield. Jesus, I'm toxic. Sorry.
Oh, we don't actually get a 3D model of it. We just get we just get 2 still images of him. It's interesting. They've painted the syringes that are dangling from his belt with the liquid going against gravity.
Finger, right?
Maybe he just fingered Fulgrim or something.
Yeah, just
smell my finger.
Touched his bumhole. So yeah, he's in Primaris armor, right?
Yeah, he is. He's a Primaris now.
Yeah, it's so weird because there's like a 40% success rate. But like, who would roll the dice on that, man? People don't roll the dice on like doing tax fraud a lot of the time. Like, what? Whatever.
I don't get it. I don't. The model's fine. The model's fine. I don't know why they're... Well, I do know why they're converting all their legacy characters to Primaris, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, why didn't they just call... Like, even though the armor's different, you didn't actually have to make Primaris be Superior Marines. They could have just been regular Space Marines, just true scale, and just say, oh, yeah, it's a new mark of armor, and give that new mark to all your characters. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You could even have it as Calls being secretly growing more Marines in VATS for this whole time, but you could have it as most of his experiments were just technological in origin, which would probably suit his character better than being the jack of all trades that he is. Or, sorry, the master of all trades that he is. I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, there is really no need for Primaris, and they're doing nothing interesting with them in the lore either. Because even people who are dead set against them, like Gabriel Seth of the Flesh Terrors, just took them on. So they're now part of the Flesh Terrors chapter. Because reasons.
Yeah, it's a shame to see people in the movie industry get fed so much crap that people are hating on Star Wars now. I never thought I'd see the day where Star Wars people, some Star Wars people, there are still people that will eat crap and call it ice cream, sure, but they can object that from an objective point, or be critical to a thing and be like, that doesn't make sense, and this is crap. Also in the video game, as well, people are more critical of it now. Bethesda can't get away with a lot of the stuff. Still stuff with Fallout 74 is happening. People are like, you can just use Fallout 4 assets in Fallout 74 now. So
it's Fallout 76, or are you saying 74 because you've got a Bethesda glitch?
Yeah, maybe that's the next glitch, right? Why am I thinking 74?
It's funny, I'm looking at a lot of these bundles, and I'm like, so many of them, like with the Nighthaunt bundle, that's really good and really good value. Like, that's an entire Nighthaunt army, basically. Just add some fucking spirit hosts to that shit, and a couple of characters.
Value from it?
Yeah, like, that's pretty good.
If I bought this individually, would I actually save money?
I doubt you would, because Games Workshop usually doesn't operate like that, but maybe.
It's Christmas. They're not. That's the
like that one's really good army, you know. Like, good value for that army, because you're getting 3 the equivalent of troops choices. You're getting a special character HQ who's decent. He's not the character killer Games Workshop thinks he is, but Kurdos is good. And the Dread Scythe Heridians and the Bladegeist Revenants are basically the same fucking unit. They both just shoot out a shitload of attacks with very poor rend and only damage 1. But they got a lot of attacks, and they move fast, 8 inches, so they're decent. That is, if you're going to play Nighthaunt, you buy the Court of the Craven King, and you're going to be doing well for yourself. Whereas the Space Wolves Talons of Morkai, the fuck is that? For $30 cheaper, sure, but that is no good for an army. Like, you can't do shit with that. It's, I don't know, even you wouldn't want to buy a second one of it either. Like, there's just this weird thing going on where they've just eclectically made up bundles that make no fucking sense on this page.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good supplement for people, for kids, and that's what it's predominantly aimed at, I guess, is for people that know...
Yeah, but people want value for money and want... Well, these are not supplements. These are not supplements for money, though. Supplements for your army. These are meant to be like almost like a start collecting. Like, you buy this box, you know, like that Nighthaunt Court of the Craven King. You buy that box, you have a fully legal army that's like 1,000 points. Like, good to go. Maybe even more. Whereas, I can't say that for most of the others. Like, the Gloomspite Gits Cave Shroom Loons. What the fuck is that name? See, this is what happens when meth is so cheap. That is like, where the fuck's the rest of the army? Okay, it's got some Troggoths. But, you know, where's the other goblins? You know, if you're going to charge so much for these bundles, you got to make them worth it, like what you provide in them. And a lot of these bundles I'm looking at, I'm just like, no. I do like the new Chaos releases with Slave to Darkness. Have you had a look at those?
I have not.
go to the Star Collecting Slaves to Darkness. That's probably the best one to look at. So, to Games Workshop's credit, all these guys are in scale basically with the existing Chaos Warriors. Like, they're only a slight, tiny little bit taller, and they've got smaller feet too, for some reason. Their boots are tighter fitting or something. But the Chaos Warriors look great. I actually really like the shields, even though they're a really weird design of shield, and probably not how you would want a shield to work, because it doesn't look like it'd deflect too well. It looks like it's actually going to guide the swords towards your head, but whatever. Looks cool. So the Warriors look cool.
I like the old shields. Old Chaos Warrior shields. Better.
The new Knights are great, but because they're a push together type thing, they slot together in really weird ways. You know, like half the details on one side of the horse are actually stems that come from the other side of the horse's internal part that stick through.
Gross.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Customization as well. So if you're rocking 15 of them on the table, you're going to have stuff that overlaps. I mean, it's not too... some of them have pretty unique details, but I guess you do a head swap, maybe, on them or something. Weapon swap, but you want those lances, so I don't know.
The Chaos Lord who's riding the Not Dragon, that guy is pretty good. He's pretty cool looking. Rules-wise, he's perfectly fine. You know, neither here nor there. And I like how the detail's kind of subdued. I know this sounds crazy, but you think how over the top the detail has gotten on some Chaos models like the Varangard in Fantasy, or your Hull Drakes, your Forge Fiends, your Mauler Fiends, your Warp Talons, all that kind of shit in 40k, where they just add thousands of extra panels and heaps of gold trim. Like, this shit's just nice and restrained. It's just a shame it's taken so long to get to some Chaos releases, you know?
Yeah, about 8 years too late for me.
That aren't just corn.
Yeah, fair point.
Because, I mean, there's plenty of corn. So, you know, that's something. And, you know, not all the Chaos Warriors have fur cloaks anymore. Some of them have, like, dragon skin cloaks or something. So, you know, that's neat. They look good. Overall, I think it's a good release.
Probably not saving any money there. Maybe it's 2, 3, 5.
No, you are saving money on those Star Collecting boxes, but again, how much money and how much inflation there is to begin with on it. It's kind of like those Boxing Day sales you see, you know, after Christmas, where it's like the company just, like, the day before Christmas jacks the prices up by 60% and then lowers them 60% the next day, so that people think it's on sale. It's just the same fucking price.
Yeah, man. I could definitely save more money by not buying any of this stuff, honestly. It's not like it's an asset. It's not going to produce me money. Actually, that's wrong. They're bringing back the Dark Vengeance box. Right? I saw on a buy swap sell page.
Could you sell a Dark Vengeance box you bought for $160 7 years ago?
People are trying to do it, dude. I saw on a buy swap sell page someone was trying to sell this box for $300, dude. He's like, "Oh no, it's coming out in a couple of days." I don't know, it's like onto somebody that doesn't know. It's like I think it was a limited edition one, and he's like, "Oh, but it's got the limited edition characters," and I'm pretty sure
limited edition Chaplain that China sells for like $5.
I'm pretty sure that they're in this new box anyway. Well, sorry, they re-release.
They've also released the Warcry warbands as units you can actually take as part of a Chaos army. So, like, these actual tribes can be included in a regular Chaos army. But I don't like that feature, because you should be able to just mix all these various tribes together to me. I don't know, it's just a weird little thing inside where I'm like, I prefer my armies to be mono-themed, not just a mishmash of fucking everything on my shelf. But, you know, it's good that people can cross-use some of these minis for when Warcry's popularity dies out, when Games Workshop inevitably stops supporting it.
I like these warband things. It's a nice side meme, and they work well for gangs, for Necromunda or whatever agents.
Holy fuck, they're still
Militia.
selling the old Cypher model and he's $55. Is he in Finecast or White Metal? Because there's like a new plastic Cypher. I wonder how much he is. I'll have to compare the two. Oh, it's White Metal. Shit. Oh, they sell the White Metal Cypher for the same cost as the new plastic Cypher.
No, it's still Cypher. I was buying the brand name, dude. Remember IP?
The brand name one. It's just like when you buy like Panadol and Panafol or something. Like one is like the trusted brand, and the other one's like the no-name brand. Like one's Colgate, one's
Hey man,
Colsor.
I know a genuine Panaphonic when I see one.
Yeah, or we got all the famous brands like Magnavox,
Samsung.
Sony, Samsung.
Oh man, some of these, I don't know. I don't mind them. These ones, but because they're pushed to fit, all these slaves to darkness dudes. You can't.
It's disgusting that they sell a fucking iPad e-published book for $40 fucking dollars, and like a hardcover one you can buy is $100 fucking bucks. It's like digital values should be like $5 a pop. I'm sorry, just release them as a $5 PDF. Don't make people pay $40 fucking dollars for them. It's just wrong.
But Macca, what about the people that work tirelessly on that? It's just like, really? Well, I just read through 18 emails for our bad fluff that we'll give it to GW for free, and honestly, most of it's better than their current stuff, which was really weird. So, what up?
Except for the Imperial Foots one, that was just fucking weird.
Take that, Imperial. Yeah, that was. I think he might have been drunk when he did that. I don't know, but some of it was really in depth, 5 pages, and what you're telling me it takes years for people to produce that, to get paid to do it as a job, 8 hours a day. Oh, but they're gonna do other stuff. Yeah, okay. No.
Well, you look some of these audiobooks here, like Morningstar by Graham McNeil, is $7.99. It's a fucking audiobook with people voice acting in it. You know, they had to pay the author to write it and people to read the lines and to record the sound and edit the sound and construct it all together. That's way more work than a published work. You know, that's way more than effort than a published work, and yet it's $7.99, whereas a fucking codex is fucking $40.
Well,
Fuck
putting
that.
the cost, because they know people aren't going to buy the audiobook more than they buy the PDF, right? So they just pass the cost on to the people buying the PDF rather than people that aren't buying the audio thing. Recording studios are expensive.
Brutal.
Yeah, so yeah, there you go. They just transferred the cost over.
The Ossiarch Bone Reapers, the new Age of Sigmar bone guys, have a book out called Strong Bones. They must drink plenty of milk. Yeah, it's nothing too interesting, guys. Have you had a good look at those, the new Bone Boys?
No.
If you go to Age of Sigmar and then go to Death, and then go Ossiarch Bone Reapers, I'm going to hear your thoughts on this whole range, because I think it'll be interesting.
Alright. Right, so they're just the Toonkin guys, right? And mixed with Necrons. Okay. And a Skaven guy for some reason.
They're Bonecast Eternals, so they're the Stormcast Eternals basically for the Death faction in Age of Sigmar. So
okay.
The Stormcast are basically Sigmar conjures into being mortal bodies that puts the souls of famous champions into. These are basically that. Nagash turned around and went, hey, if you can do that, I can do that. And they reshape bones that they collect. And they go around collecting a bone tithe. Like, they just rock up to cities and ask, we want all the bones from your city. Like, you owe us a certain amount of bones. And so that we can make our armies out of them. And they reshape them and then imbue them with souls that have gone to the underworld. What do you think of Catacross, the Mortarch of the Necropolis?
The green guy.
The green guy. What do you think of him up close? So have a good look at him. Tell me if he reminds you of anyone.
Dude with the Infinity Glove.
Thanos? No.
What? Taking a good look at him. Looks weird, man. It's gross. He's got like armored shell on him. Looks like Zoidberg.
You know what I think of when I look at it? The alien engineers from Prometheus.
Oh, shit. Right. But this one's cosplaying as an Egyptian or something. Okay, I see it. Yeah, crazy.
Like, ridiculously similar, right?
Yeah, for sure. Watch out, Games Workshop. IP theft, bro.
AIP theft only works one way with that company.
True.
I wish this model had rules that you could field him separately on foot, just on like a 50 or 60 mil base, as well as his full-on council form, which is what you sort of see. Like, this counts as one model in the game, Cat, and as it gets wounded, basically different characters' abilities get taken out, and the stats change on the overall model.
Wow, for $180, I hope it can refuel my car or something, as well as just sit there.
Well, he will. If you have him in your competitive list, you're probably going to win a lot of tournaments. So I guess that's the angle they're going for. It's pretty strong.
How much money are tourneys paying nowadays for a top win? $60,000-$70,000? Probably not, hey. So hard pass on that. But even if they were, they probably retcon this cunt in it. They're probably not allowing this guy in there. So,
who knows? Yeah.
What's really bad is this bone tithe nexus thing. That is horrible. Like, that's
okay. So here's the thing I don't like about Sigmar that needs to be changed, which you'll find interesting. So in Sigmar, your factions, not every faction either, just to make it balanced. That's sarcasm. Every faction has their own terrain. And again, I say every faction, but really what I mean is some chosen factions, like the Adonath Deepkin, the fish people, that have sex with Troy McClure. They have shipwreck out of your fish tank, for example, that they can bring to the game. Well, these guys have this fucking thing. So you don't know how Age of Sigmar works, but I'll give you a rundown because I'm going to open up the rules and explain what this piece of terrain does.
Because it looks like all the skeletons are made out of Play-Doh. Is that by design or just
probably
cat again? Because it looks so bad.
Because they're trying to basically do the mold from one direction without having the really complex mold. So this is essentially 4 corners and 2 of them repeat. There's 2 matching pairs of corners, and they basically just take the same corners and make them in the machine. So it's a super simple thing to mold up, basically. Okay, so it's a piece of terrain, and you place it down on your side of the table, basically. But you can go almost to the middle of the table with it anyway. In your hero phase, which is basically the first part of each turn, you choose for this terrain feature to unleash one of the following punishments. Pick one enemy unit wholly within 18 inches of the terrain feature and visible to it, and roll a dice. On a 4+, -1 on all their to hit rolls. So if they hit on a 4+, it becomes hitting on a 5+. Brutal punishment for Age of Sigmar. The second punishment, pick one enemy unit within 36 inches of that. On a 2+, the unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So basically, if they don't have an invulnerable save, they take a wound, would be the way I explain it to you. Punishment of Ignorance. Pick one enemy wizard within 36 inches of this terrain feature and visible to it, and roll a dice. On a 2+, subtract 1 from casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for that unit until your next hero phase. So if you go to cast a spell or dispel 1, you're at -1, essentially. And Punishment of Lethargy. Pick one enemy unit wholly within 18 of this terrain feature and visible to it, roll a dice. On a 4+, the unit cannot run until your next hero phase, and a d6 is used to make charge rolls instead of 2d6 for your next hero phase, which is pretty punishing. Some factions, like B-Score Raiders, for example, who have some real good some good speed buffs, would just get kicked in the dick by that. So, Kat, I'm going to give you the choice, even though you know nothing about Age of Sigmar. Would you say this costs 0 points for your army, or more than 0 points?
A lot more than 0 points. So it'd be like, I guess, in reference to 30k, which is the only thing I'm playing at the moment. It says like 200 points minimum. Just like
It's 0.
Hmm.
It's free. If you go out and you buy terrain from Games Workshop, you can use it for free in your games, and they give you ridiculously good buffs. Well, not all terrain, but a lot of it. It's just the thing, it's just free. You just get to bring this along to your games.
I'm not.
For the low, low price of $84.
It's one of the cheaper things from Games Workshop, so there's that. But
it's surprisingly large too. It's
the line of sight blocking terrain too nice.
The inner sort of set of stairs is about the same perimeter measurements as a monolith. To give you an idea of size, like it's a pretty decent size.
That's insane. You're really not selling me on this whole Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. So, like I said, the Bonecast Eternals, this faction, is a bit overpowered currently. And it's just dumb things like that, where it's like, yeah, have something that's really good and it's free. It's kind of like, what?
That makes sense, though, especially from Games Workshop. We've seen it before. It's a new thing, right? They need people to buy it, so they make it overpowered. And that's what people... In Age of Sigmar, I don't see people role-playing or doing fluff-based games, are they? They're playing the game for points.
It's a weird one. I think the majority of people are playing the games. They're buying and building and painting the things they want to. I do see people take a lot of units that would be considered ineffective in the meta, which is nice, but you also do see some real gamey people out there. But, if you play them and they're a dick, you just don't play them again. That's always been my solution. Yeah, it's a weird faction. So, I like it overall. I just wish they sort of fix some of those things. But the fact that terrain has rules and it's free, if it's and not every army has access to it, and a lot of them are just kind of meh. But then you give some army one that's really good, it becomes a question of what the fuck is going on here. So yeah,
fair point.
Let's jump across the Forge world, because I want to get your opinions on the Blood Angels Dawnbreakers, the Saber Strike Tank, and maybe the Angels Tears. So there's some fun units.
I guess we just start from the top. Blood Angels, Dawnbreakers, or what?
Can't find the Angels Tears. I thought they were released already.
No, I think they're in the
preview
page. They're like, we got some big plans for next year.
So models that were clearly designed and painted and built this year are not coming out till next. Well, sorry, last year now are not coming out till sometime this year. Okay, then. Well, let's start with the Dawnbreaker Cohort. What do you think of those?
They're pretty bad.
Okay. What do you dislike about them?
They look fat. Is that they look like Primaris Marines almost? I guess because this is really more just a change to their backpack and stuff. Very 40k looking to me. The big hand cannon. It's cartoonish. And I think it was... These dudes can have 2 weapons, right?
Yeah, they can take the twin swords.
Right, so they're never going to release twin swords for these guys, so good luck to anyone who wants the twin sword.
That is a fucking good point that I never thought of when I looked at this unit.
Someone emailed them and asked them, and they said, well, you do not have any...
So they're releasing a unit without its war gear options, basically.
It'd be like, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing. It's not a new thing at all. At least you have something to represent this. There's plenty of third-party stuff, and I'm sure you could just chop down the spear to make
I'd
the
just
sword,
use
but, I mean,
Palatine blades and give them fucking jump packs or something, and shave off the Emperor's Children iconography. You know, give them some Blood Angels shoulder pads. Like, take the shoulder pads off these guys and put them on some Palatine blades, or take some.
Yeah, these dudes are chunk, man. These dudes are at least a level 3 chunk.
Now,
Chunky.
if you still got the Games Workshop page open, go to Grey Knights.
Oh yeah, they do look like the Grey Knight heads, eh?
They are Grey Knight helmets, just like your regular fucking Strike Squad helmets.
Yeah, true. They've got the vent at the top, which
They're Aegis
is
power
a 40K
armor.
thing.
Yeah, they got Aegis power armor helmets, like right down to the fucking little grills in the side of the face on some of them.
That's why it looks 30k, not 30k, 40k. Yeah, yeah, that'd do it.
Like, they
I
got
wouldn't
the
want
same
that
vents.
loincloth either. When you're taking off and stuff, that loincloth would be not great.
Well, it's hard to say. I don't hate the models. I don't overly like them either. I think you could get away with the base models, maybe change the arms so that they're just Palatine blade arms or something. So they're a bit more sleeker and don't have that terrible, terrible fucking Hellboy pistol-sized gun on their fucking wrist. And yeah, the backpacks, if they were just standard Mark IV backpacks, or maybe you remove the 2 side nacelles and replace them with like Sanguinary Guard wings or something.
True. Sanguinary Gun weapons look even better than that. It's so bad. It just reminds me of.
Why don't just use Sanguinary Guard? Just don't use the death masks. Just give them regular 30k Blood Angels helmets. Yeah, they sell.
Or the Grey Knights one, I'm sure there's plenty of Grey Knight heads floating around everywhere.
Yeah, they sell Blood Angels helmets at Forge World. So put these helmets onto your Sanguinary Guard guys if you're going to do Dawnbreaker Cohort. I guess the spears are probably going to be like the weapon of choice for the unit, being like AP2 on the charge. But and these guys are a lot cheaper points wise than Palatine blades because of course they are. All right. What about the Saber strike tank? So you played Dark Angels in 30k, or at least you've been slowly over the years grinding away on an army of Dark Angels for 30k. What do you think of the Saber strike tank? The tank that's smaller than a Rhino.
Yeah, like everyone else playing Dark Angels, pretty pumped for Book 7 to come out.
Book 9.
Book 8. When it was still confirmed that it was going to be Dark Angels, right? It's going to be Dark Angels, Blood Angels, and
Mongolians.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be that.
It
was, but they were like, nah, now you're in Book 9 because reasons. So put them to the side because just fluff wise, it's just not a thing. So, yeah, this tank thing, man, I don't get it. Other than a tank army, it fills a fast role. So if you're having a tank army and you need tanks in it, which Dark Angels do have a lot of Rights of War option for that, and this fills that fast.
The Iron Wing is not the greatest Rite of War, though.
No, of course not. But if you're doing that, and tank-heavy armies are pretty predominant in Heresy, especially this large-scale stuff. Iron Warriors as well. If you're doing Talaran battles and stuff, you can do this. Just the tank itself sucks. That's the problem. Like, it's supposed to be an outflanky boy. Shouldn't it have a gun that can actually...
Doesn't even have outflank rule, I'm pretty sure.
No,
Alright, so let's look at the rules, because I had a lot of people really rudely talk down to me saying I'm an idiot who has no idea about rules. I mean, you've known me for a long time. I do pretty well in competitions, do I not? Like, yeah. I'm the sort of guy who generally, if I look at something, I can decide on its stats then and there if it's good or bad, true or false.
Well, yeah, you do win stuff, so yeah. But the rules are trash, man. Like,
yeah. So let's go look at the rules, and we'll try and talk about where we think this thing's falling down. I think, because you're here, we can bounce ideas off each other. So yeah, 65-point tank, with a Rhino's stats for the armor, except for some reason the front is armor 12. What's the go with that, do you think? Do you think good, bad, other for 65 points?
For 65 points, front 12, it's fine. That's good. That's
Yeah.
probably one of the reasons people are going to be buying it.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know
not gonna
why it's
die
front
instantly.
12. Like, it's definitely not something that should be front 12.
One person, 2-man tank.
It's a one-man tank, apparently.
Yeah, maybe front driven.
I mean, the front of it,
Now.
a lot of people say the front of it looks like a Dreadnought sarcophagus. I'm like, no, it just looks like one half of a Rhino's front. In fact, I'm going to bring up a Rhino just to prove the point. See, people, 30k Rhinos, for the record, guys, have
why can you only have
panel
1 to
front.
2?
I don't know, 3 is a normal strike squadron size, right?
Yeah, and at 65 points, you'd think, because they're like a fast tank, you'd want 1 to 5, especially for Heresy. It wouldn't be out of the round possibility for them to be 1 to 5.
Well, I'd probably go
right?
1 to 3, like a Javelin.
Yeah, but at least if you're
speeder.
spamming them, they can do something. Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Speeder. Yeah, 1 to 3. Just 1 to 3 has always been the standard. I don't know why.
1 to 2 is not a lot of bang for your buck for the amount of points you're investing, because that's already 130 points for 2 of these stock with no extras. But having them in a squadron means that, like, kill shots on them, like, you know, hull points, all that, is going to overflow into the other vehicle, which is not ideal. And there's no machine spirit, so you're not going to be able to independently target these vehicles. Like, you're not going to go, okay, I'm going to have one Saber fire over here and one fire over here. The two things are going to have to target the same targets a lot, which is strange.
Yeah, at least you're getting a lot of war gear for the stuff. You get smoke launchers, searchlights, and auxiliary drive for free.
Ooh. Okay, well, let's talk about that. So the two weapons it comes with stock are the hull-mounted Anvil snub autocannon, the hull-mounted heavy bolter. So the Anvil snub autocannon is only 24 inches range, which is half the range of a normal autocannon. I guess it's made up for by the fact that this is a fast vehicle. It's AP4, which is okay, and it's strength 8, which is good, very good actually. Heavy 2, and has the Sunder special rule, so re-rolling armor penetration rolls. What are the pros and cons of this to you, as someone who has Dark Angels and potentially could run this tank in their Rite of War?
I don't use that Rite of War. No way in hell would I ever use the Armored Wing Rite. I don't like any of the current Dark Ancients Rites of War. I'd rather take land speeders. I'd rather take pretty much everything else.
Well, this is the point I bring up, is I'm like, for the same points as this, you can buy a Javelin, which has a twin-linked Cyclone missile launcher and a heavy bolter. For the same points.
Well, for 250 points, I have a unit of 5 attack bikes with acid shots and melter bombs.
That's a lot of shots.
Yep. And so, they can also go tank hunting as well, and it fits the fluff.
See, my problem with this is, well, one, it's short range. I mean, you're getting within 24. That's already within bolt gun range of units, and 24 inches is not far in the Heresy. That's the sort of ground that units like bikes and jet bikes will cover in a turn. If they've got melter bombs or, fuck, even crack grenades when you're only rear armor 10, you're in for a bad time. So you've got to get closer than you'd like with this, in my opinion. The other thing is, 2 shots is not much. Like, a lot of people go, oh, well, you know, it's really good at killing rhinos. It's like, well, for a start, you don't see a huge amount of rhinos in 30k games. You see a lot more Spartans and Land Raiders. And
what was it? I was playing Dean one time, and one Marine blew up 3 rhinos with throwing crack grenades.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious. That was at my house, too.
Yeah, what the... Well, anything can take out... Well, not anything. Strength 3 can't take out a rhino. Rear 10, right? So... Oh no, look out, you're human-based. Unless you're rocking militia without special rules and stuff.
Well, you know, that's another thing. Like, if you got something like an autocannon, the pro of an autocannon is it has the AP to instantly ignore armor on most guard units, right? And strength 7's enough to kill toughness 3 models. the trade-off for this is you go from having that double range, like you go from 48 inches range where you can just sit back and plink away, to the exact same shots, but you get twin linked and you get to reroll armor pen, and it goes up slightly in strength. Is that worth it though?
Strength 8 is good. AP3 would have been better.
My problem with Strength 8 is it's like this could potentially be a Thalax killer. At Strength 8. It's not, because a Thalax is not going to be instant killed by it.
Oh, true.
So it's no better at killing, say, Thalax than a Strength 7 autocannon is. Still wounds on 2s, still AP4. It's just this thing, if you get within 24 inches of Thalax, you're brave, because Thalax could come after this and catch it.
Yeah, man, yeah, you got to do the 24 inches. Yeah, that's a fair point. 6-inch move, then 2d6 assault.
They got photon thrusters.
You get photon thrusters, or you got multi-melters shooting at you.
Yeah, both those things are nasty. So,
but even so, I'd probably ignore this thing. It's not doing anything.
But let's think of it in your head. If you got a squadron, so you got 2 of these, right? So 2 of these twin linked. Chances are they're going to hit their shots. So you're looking at like 4 shots at, say, an enemy Rhino. They're all going to hit, pretty much, right? It's like a 97% chance of hitting. So you got to get like 4 hits. It's Strength 8. You're needing fucking 3s to glance. It's probably going to kill a Rhino. But 2 of these tanks are 130 points. Is that an effective use of 130 points?
I guess, like, again, if you do have a tank army, like if that's your theme, is all tanks, and these can blow up the Rhinos, and then your bigger tanks can destroy the gooey stuff on inside with templates or whatever. Big machine guns and stuff. More shots. Maybe. I mean, I think it's more of a point of, hey, this tank is crap, and you're a commander, and you've been put in charge of it, rather than being all like, hey, I'm a commander, and I have a big budget. Let's get 6 of these things. Like, sir, we've got some problems with you, with your financial decision. Like, I feel sorry for the units that have a commander that's going out of their way to buy this, and I feel sorry for a commander who's rocking up to a already in-service army that has a bunch of these in the hangars for whatever reason. Both very poor outcomes. So I don't know, man.
Well, again, compare this gun with the Javelin. So the Javelin has 1 point less of armor on the front, but it's got double the range, and it's AP3. It just doesn't have the Sunder special rule, so it doesn't get to reroll armor pen. But it can sit there twice as far away as this thing can all day long shooting, and it gets a jinx save, and it can deep strike, and it can outflank. To me, that's just so much better for the points.
For sure. But then
I mean, I don't understand why this is range 24 is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, give this more shots or give it increased range. A lot of people saying, oh, it's half the stats of the Leviathan Dreadnought's autocannon. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't see it being a viable weapon for that many points when there are so many better things I could get for those points.
Again, I just think it's just there to fill in the fast attack slot for people who are doing an
yeah, but they don't need anything in that fast attack slot. Is the weird.
No, but I mean now they have
the option. They have the option. That's true. All right. What about the second gun there? The Neutron Blaster. 24-inch range, strength 9 AP2. So that's the strength 9 AP2 is great. That's a las cannon. Heavy 1, concussive, shock pulse. So you've got a half-range las cannon, and it's concussive, which means if you get penetrated by it, you're instantly being shaken or stunned. And it's got the shock pulse rule, which means you can't shoot at all if you're penetrated by it, which is weird because I guess that's to, like, the concussive does that job already, basically. I guess the shock pulse is just making sure that if it's got machine spirit or it's a super heavy that it can't fire. But my problem with it, I've got 2 problems. First is strength 9 AP2 is not really enough with 1 shot, no twin linked. and only ballistic skill 4 to be reliable to consistently do it in Heresy. Because the sort of things you're going to be targeting with this tank is things like Typhons and Spartans and armor 14 and equivalent armor 15 stuff because of flare shields. You're not getting through it with a las cannon 9 times out of 10. You can't even penetrate armor 15 with this, so you're never going to get the shock pulse rule off. It's like, okay, sure, you can target rhinos, but again, is this weapon that you're paying an extra, 20 points for? So this is an 85 point tank for a single las cannon shot? That to me is silly.
Yeah, for sure. It seems pretty ridiculous for that one. When you consider the speeders have 2 on them, and they're faster moving, cheaper, almost
double the range. Double the range. Yeah. That's the other thing.
True,
like 24 inches. This thing's
got
to get close.
But it doesn't really matter. Shock pulse. Yeah.
Do you imagine getting this thing, like a Typhon tank, for example, could sit there and shoot at you from twice the range you could shoot it in, and if it hits you, it's going to be a fucking smoking crater left behind. Even a Sicaran or a Sicaran Venator, like, you're still fishing for a 4 just to glance it, and you've got no way of, like, there's no Sunder or tank hunters on the tank, so you're only talking doing damage 50% of the time against a Sicaran tank, which is only armor 13, which is considered quite low in the Heresy, and you're only looking at 30% of the time actually getting a penetrating hit with it. And if they've got cover or anything like that, then 30% of that 30%, so you're talking 10% of the time, it's going to get blocked. So you're probably only getting through like 20% of the time with the shots from this on just armor 13. I know that's some weird maths I just did there, but a bit of like fucking Rain Man going on.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be using this thing at all.
A lot of people say it's great. I don't get why it's great. They say, oh, it has the shock pulse rule. What are you penetrating, though? That's my question. What are you penetrating with the shock pulse? Dreadnoughts, armor 13, 5+ invols. On a Leviathan, 4+ invols. You are not consistently getting through with this thing. You're going to need lots of them. And again, if you're paying for 2 of these tanks with that, just 1 squadron, that's 85 points a model with no other upgrades right there. That's 170 points for 2 of these. And again, if they're within range of the Dreadnought's well within range of you. I think a Kiri's armed Contemptor with 2 Kiris is going to kill one of, maybe even both of these in just 1 round of shooting.
A lot of people like Rise of Skywalker as well. Doesn't mean that it's good.
Alright, next weapon, Volkite Saker. 24 inches range, as all the weapons on this are for some reason. Strength 6, which is okay. AP 5, which is pretty meh. But it is heavy 6 and does have the Deflagrate special rule. Which means every time you actually cause a wound that's not saved, it causes an extra hit on the unit automatically. But this can only be done like once per phase. You can't get extra hits off of those extra hits.
Yeah, I like that thing, but I like it better on the Baby Knights. The Baby Knights can take it now.
Is it worth it for a 15-point upgrade on this tank, though?
No, hell no. I mean, the tank's not worth it itself, so putting any more points into a hole, just put points into a hole.
Alright, on its sponson, it has a heavy bolter, a heavy flamer, multi-melter, or Volkite Culverin. Now, out of those options, if you're going to go vehicle hunting, you're taking the multi-melter. You may as well. Just keep the tank stock and take the multi-melter, but it's more points than the dedicated anti-tank gun off its main hull, the Neutron fucking blaster.
Yeah, bro. Well, I want to see someone take these things and like give them the extra armor, armored ceramite, the multi-melter, whatever the most expensive freaking other weapon is.
Well, I've worked out how much you could get one of these things up to more points than the Sicaran tank. If you take the Neutron blaster,
you go squadron.
No, just one.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so I'll tell you how, right? I'll even pull up the calculator so I can give exact points to people as we go along so they can play this game at home. So you start with a 65-point tank, then add the Neutron blaster to it, so you go up to 80 points, right? Or 85 points, sorry. Add the multi-melter, So you're now at 110 points. Then you can also give it a pintle weapon on top, because this one man, he's going to hop out the top of the tank, fire the fucking machine gun off top, climb back down inside, fire the whole gun, then he's going to fire the other gun. Part of my problem with it. But that adds another 15.
I've been there, man.
So you're now up to 125 points. And then you can give it extra armor for 10 points, just, so you can still move when shaken and stunned. And you can also give it Armored Ceramite to make it immune to Melter with its rear armor of 10, side armor of 11, for 20 points. And then lastly, you can give it up to 4 Saber missiles, which are hunter killers with less range that do less damage, but they're rending, which is an extra 20 points, which takes us up to 175 points.
Nice. That's pointless.
So what do you get for your 175 points? You get a single multi-melter shot, a single las cannon with a concussive rule at half range. You get a havoc launcher. You're immune to the 2d6 armor pen from melters, but a melter can still glance you on 2s in the rear anyway. And you get 4 weaker hunter killers. Pretty good value.
Honestly, these dudes, whoever, like the operators in the Fluff for these vehicles, whoever's quelled in this, you'd hope they quelled in other things, but imagine if there's an influx. They just came out with this new tank, so we've got to force new Space Marine recruits to, that one special. Imagine that. You're worse than a Rhino driver, effectively.
So for 30 more points, you can buy a Sicaran Arcus, which has armor 13 on the front, and it's 12 on the side and rear. So it's gained a fucking point of armor on front and side, and 2 points on the back. It also comes with a stock gun, which fires 4 Strength 8 AP2 shells with 36 inches range, and if they score a penetrating hit on a target, you get to roll D3 times on the vehicle damage table and select the highest result. And if you don't move the tank, which again outranges these other tanks, it can fire twice. So it fires 8 of these twin-linked, 8 of these Strength 8 AP2 36-inch ranged shots, which each get to roll D3 hits on the penetrating damage table.
Yeah, this thing's a piece of crap. I don't know what it's doing.
I just wanted to compare the two, because this is where my head's at. I don't get why people think it's really good. And yeah, the Saber missiles are terrible and the Fluff is terrible.
I don't understand that. It's so dumb. The reasoning is so stupid.
It's a more advanced shaped warhead, Cat. That's why it does less damage.
Yeah, and that's why the BBDA doesn't kill the dudes on the White Scar.
Yes. I did not put those missiles on them.
No, you
They
could
look terrible.
mount them below or something. I don't know what the problem is.
So what people don't realise, this thing can actually take an extra pintle weapon. The weapon you see on top of it in the picture that I've currently displaying on my screen is actually another hull-mounted weapon. I don't even know if you could really say this thing has a 90-degree firing arc when it clearly is rigidly mounted in place. But anyway, it has 2 hull-mounted weapons. Why? I don't know. The one that's on top should be the pintle weapon. It shouldn't be having the option of extra pintle weapons. Because you know where this gets really funny, Cat? Because this can take a, Havoc missile launcher, where would you put a Havoc missile launcher if you were building a Rhino or Predator?
I usually put them where we put them on the M113s. Yeah, put in
they're designed to go into the hatch on top.
Yeah, which I'm not a fan of anyway.
Which is a strange choice, but it's what they do. So on this tank, you would be fitting the only entrance and exit point of the tank would be a missile launcher. So the Marine, I guess, is welded in place into the tank when it sets out of battle.
Yeah, so just like the Killdozer dude. He's just
fuck yeah, Killdozer. Killdozer.
Yeah, just welded in there.
Yeah, not my... I mean, overall, I think the thing looks great. Like, I'm definitely not going to fault it on looks. It looks great. But the fact it's got this rigidly mounted extra hull weapon on top, so why don't just give it 2 of the primary weapon on the hull, or make the primary weapon on the hull better? I don't know. I just don't know. It's absurd. And the missiles just look so fucking slapped on the sides. It's not funny.
Yeah,
But the rest of it looks great.
I don't like it.
I mean, you could have a lot of fun with this. If you make it salamanders, give it 2 heavy flamers on top. Just go around like fucking Hank Scorpio in The Simpsons, just flamethrowing people.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Can Blood Angels get much assault cannons? I think they can only have one.
They could put 2 on it.
Okay, sick.
Yeah, you could put 2 assault cannons on it, which would actually give this way better firepower than its main guns.
Same range too, so...
True, but that would be pricey. That'd be, what, 20 points per assault cannon, plus you're paying for the extra heavy flamer. Oh, no, wait, no, you're right. It can't. It can only take 1, that hull-mounted one.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Still,
Stick with your Predators
probably worth
and have
it.
5 on them.
Yeah, one of them being twin-linked.
Yeah, well, fair.
Yeah, that Dark Angels probably get a lot of use out of it. You give it both its heavy bolters. Give both its heavy bolters acid rounds.
You can't do that on vehicles. It has to have the...
Legionis Astartes or be a Dreadnought, yeah.
Otherwise, I'd have so many more speeders, dude. You know how bad I'd want to have those little tiny speeders? I love those things, man. I like those things. I like retarded looking shit, but this thing's even too retarded looking.
Maybe...
I like those speeders. If I could take acid rounds on those things, I'd get so many. But that's why I put that project to the side anyway, because they will probably
nerf that
change everything on it. And what I currently have or have made is going to have to be dramatically changed. Because I've just been stung too many times. I'm not sure.
You're not falling for this shit again.
No way. But I'm looking forward to Book 9, and
I'm just trying to think what legions would do like really well with this, and I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, if you take the 2 heavy bolter options, maybe you could go like pinning heavy bolters for Iron Warriors. It'll give you like 6 pinning shots. It's still not great. You couldn't make this thing cheaper. This thing is the right points for its base stats, but the weapons you're putting on it need to be better for the points they cost, I think is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think in Epic, when it was released in Epic, it had a big cannon on it. I think it did okay. Like, it wasn't this trash.
Well, the problem is that the Vindicator and the Laser Rapier Vindicator exist, which is what this is basically. When they first designed it.
Version.
Well, not even that, it's only a tiny bit smaller than a Rhino in the first place. I know, people think it's like Sicaran sized. Guys, it's really not Sicaran sized. You can even see in some of the pictures where it's got dudes around it. It's fucking...
It's a one-man tank.
Yeah, it's like Terminators are the same height as this tank. Like, it's fucking tiny. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have the... I mean, even if the main gun was a Reaper autocannon, that'd be better, because you could sit back at 36 inches just blinking away. But 24, you gotta get so close.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take the point of damage off and have the range. But how many are you buying? 20?
0. Just like Age of Sigmar terrain prices in points, I will be buying 0.
Nice.
I guess I keep like going through my brain going, what would you do with this? Am I wrong in my interpretation of it? I keep second guessing myself, because I do listen to the feedback people give, and so many people saying, oh, it's really good. Just that neutron weapon's so good. Like, no, it's really bad. Statistically speaking, it's really bad. Like, the Sicaran Venator makes up for if its neutron weapon fails by having a shitload of heavy bolter shots, or backing it up with a couple of las cannon shots if you really want to pay the points. plus it can take pintle weapons like, assault cannons, multi-melters, stuff like that. Like, the Venator is loaded up with gun options for if that main gun is of no use to you. This does not. If it fails that one las cannon shot, which is only hitting 2/3 of the time anyway, and even then it's only going to penetrate 1/3 of the time against most targets. After that, that's terrible. You're talking like 1/6 of your shots are going to be successful. That's terrible odds.
Yeah, I'm not putting my face in it.
And I mean, if you go up against something like Armor 14, or dare I say, the dreaded Armor 15 equivalents, flare-shielded Spartans and shit, you're not even going to be doing one. You're talking like 1/12 of the time just to fucking get a glance.
Yep. Here I am running around with my 320 point HQ with a photon thruster that has tank hunter.
Also, Forge World, $200 for a Rhino chassis with 6 guns is fucking disgusting, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh man, all those people that are saying how good it is, maybe they're buying them.
I have no doubt people are buying it. People like to... We've spoken about before, the addictive nature of the hobby. Something new comes out, it's flashy, like you know how many people I know and respect that turned around to me and said, I'm thinking of getting one, I think it's really good rules. And then I sort of sat down and went, okay, what about this, this, and this? And they went, oh, it actually has really bad rules, but I just thought it looked good.
There's nothing wrong with that. And that's how I...
No, not the tank, the rules.
Oh. No, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, there is something wrong with that. I think the tank looks beautiful. No qualms there. I think it looks beautiful. But you're pissing away your money. That's the other thing. Like, I'm not going to tell people what to do with their own money, but if it's me, I'm going to be trying to spend my money wisely and efficiently for an army. I'm not saying go out and buy the most OP shit for your army, but this is not worth that kind of money for what it delivers on the battlefield. There's got to be a certain price point where you go, okay, this thing costs way more than it's effective, to the point where even if I like the look of it, it's not worth me taking. And I think this fits that criteria.
Yeah, definitely. And there people complain about our channel of criticizing something that we both put our money and time into, which there's nothing wrong with that. Looking at things critically is the key, especially if you like something. But anyway, it's the same as someone going out to buy a car and like, oh, I really like this car, and then they look online and it's like, oh, this car has common faults, and if you buy this car, the engine will fall out and probably kill pedestrians. I'm sure there are people on there being all like, oh no, you're just complaining. That's a feature. That's the civilian killing feature. That's fine.
You know what it is?
No, don't worry about
it's Jeep owners.
Oh wow. Okay.
No,
well,
seriously. So I know a lot of people who own Jeeps, and Jeep owners always tell me how great their Jeeps are. I personally drive a Toyota Land Cruiser, and my car has never fucking let me down. Never a problem, never anything wrong with the services. It's just so fucking reliable, right? Meanwhile, well, I guess that's just what Toyota's known for. Meanwhile, Jeep owners are going into fucking limp home mode, just driving home normally from work. They go to the dealership, and the dealerships just have no fucking idea what's wrong. They just go in, reset the computer, and they go, it should be fine. Then they drive the car for another fucking week, goes into limp home mode again. Next thing you know, they're 30 grand the fucking clinker on their car. And it happens all the fucking time with Jeeps, and they have the worst fucking rating in Australia for reliability. And yet, you still see people talking about how great Jeeps are. It's just fucking amazing. That is this tank. This is the fucking Jeep.
The Jeep.
The fucking Jeep of 30k, where people are like, nah man, it's fucking great. And meanwhile it's in fucking limp home mode, and you spent thousands on buying the things and going to technicians, and you really should just gone and bought a fucking Toyota. Or
in this case, a Sicaran.
Yeah, buy a Sicaran. Well, that's the other thing. Like a Sicaran Arcus, $190 from Forge World in Australia, which no one's paying. Or a single Saber for $200. So $9 more for an objectively fucking worse and a tank that's It's not even half the size of a Sicaran. Like, a Sicaran has a lot of meat in it, the actual physical model. This thing's fucking woeful. But do yourself a favour, even if you like this, don't buy it. It's way overpriced. Buy a Sicaran, you'll be so much happier. Buy an Arcus if you don't want friends. Buy a fucking Omega if you want a tank as bad as the Saber, if not worse. And want to keep all your friends and throw your games.
That's me. I love throwing games.
Buy a Punisher or a regular Sicaran if you just want to have fun. Cool. Fuck, that's really all I have to talk about this week. I've whinged and pissed and moaned enough about that fucking stupid $200 tank. Is there anything you want to say before we go or talk about?
I'm sure. I'm looking forward to book 9. I really am, and I hope it does come out and I first revive the heresy a little bit, but I don't.
Oh no! Now you've made me think of a talking point. You know, there's no Heresy Weekender this year.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
No, like Heresy Open Day. What the hell? What the hell, right? Like, when they first started... Well, it used to be like where they did the preview and all the new units came out. You could go and pre-order the models and talk with all the design staff about all the work they've been doing. It's like they can't even be fucked. They can't even be fucked this year. Like, spend one weekend with the fucking people who are funding their fucking jobs to actually talk about like the product and their plans going forward. Do they care that little? Like, I feel I've got a right to be salty on that one. It's like, we've funded this fucking hobby. The whole reason you guys have a job in the first place is because we fucking made this thing happen. This isn't a charity where you do all this stuff for us and we're just got to be thankful. Like, we pay exorbitant amounts for it. And you can't even do us the fucking courtesy of sitting down with us and going, hey, look, here's the new releases. Here's, all this great stuff we're doing with this game. I don't know, I just think that's pathetic.
They do that on Twitch.
I don't give a fuck about what happens on Twitch.
Well, but I can make less accessible for more people rather than the rich people.
Yeah, you know what Twitch is also accessible for people? Kicking people in the fucking head till they twitch is very fucking accessible for people.
Sometimes. But, then you kick the wrong person, they pull a gun and dude in church or something.
Yeah, that's dank. Yeah, I don't know. I guess part of it is I'd love for those the open days, they have the beauty of like what happened with BlizzCon, where people would stand up and say, is this an April Fool's joke? I'd love to be able to just stand up in front of the design staff and just ask, like, why did you take this design decision or design direction with this, and actually put them on the spot and force them to answer it.
Probably why they stopped doing
it. Yeah, probably. You gotta love zero accountability. Again, people are just like, oh, just be thankful you got something. It's like, no, if you pay a lot of money for something, you don't just have to be blindly thankful. They provide a good or service. It should be up to the standards that were, presented to you when you said, okay, yes, because you basically, once money's exchanged, you now have a contract with that person. You expect a certain level of quality and standard. And rant.
Yeah, we haven't seen that in Heresy in a long time, and the piss poor stuff that's come out as opposed to what it has. I guess we're no longer in the golden age, and I'm hoping Book 9 kicks that up a little bit. We see a little bit of, Dark Mechanicum units and whatever else. There's a lot of stuff that they could do, but
I'm not hopeful. It's not even that they're doing releases for other stuff, like Lord of the Rings, for example, which is there's been more releases for Lord of the Rings than 30k in the last year. But the shit they're releasing is like, what the fuck is that? Like, okay, Dunland.
Heroes of Dunland.
Yeah, like I get who Dunland is, the men who were displaced by the Rohirrim, but, like, really? Like, that's what you're going with? Like, of all the awesome factions in Lord of the Rings. I guess because they're doing like this whole Rohan thing with Lord of the Rings at the moment. Games Workshop, they're like, yeah, let's do Dunland, and the bundle is fucking expensive too. Like Lord of the Rings used to be known as like the cheaper game, but it's like $48 for 3 dudes, and they're smaller than like a regular GW dude.
No, we don't want the, what do they call it, Middle Earth people on us now.
Yeah, well,
They'll come at you, man.
yeah,
Remember the last tried
Yeah, I
to steal
do.
our stuff?
I do. Mass flagging, downvoting. It was great.
I don't get these Dunland dudes look like they're just for.
It's just Vikings. Yeah, they're not the most inspired. Oh well. Anyway,
But lucky they got that trademark next to their name.
I know, right? They're so specific with that.
But you're good to everyone can copy Saber Strike Tank and Armory. It's all good. That's not trademark.
No, it's not trademarked. Happy New Year from Warhammer Community Team. Yeah, cool. Cool story, bruh. Needed more dragons. Alright, that I guess takes us to the end of first salty Scrubdown of the year. I'm sure we'll have at least one more before the year is out.
Maybe.
We'll do something when Book 9 comes out. We'll actually sit down, we'll go through Book 9 properly and talk about it. Because that's one that you actually give a shit about, which you really haven't for the last couple of books. Like, we tried to sit down and go through like Custodes and Thousand Suns, and it just was fucking abysmal, especially because of the Custodes part.
I like how they released Custodes twice in a book. What the hell, man?
Yeah, you know what they should have done? Why didn't they just do a red book and put Dark Angels in Book 8? Instead of doing the whole Custodes army all over again, just put it in a fucking red book. So that way people can just buy the fucking red book instead of having to buy the fucking black book. It's just silly.
Probably because they need to change stuff again and again and again. People aren't buying the stuff because it's already changed by the time they released it.
It's like fucking buying stuff Inception. Alright, I'm good. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, I'm good. We're all done here. We're done. Enjoy Heresy. Enjoy your war games. Enjoy your new year 2020.
We're done. You ruined the premiere. You ruined the premiere of the episode for 2020. God damn it, Summer.
Yeah, we're so just lazy. Oh yes, congratulations on the win for the army guy. It was hard. There'll be an episode of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we tried to do a supercut of our reactions, but most of the time our reaction was just, what the fuck is this? Because like when I said bad fluff, and the way I tried to describe it, and I guess didn't come across too well in the video and the comments below, it was like I wanted to see people write in like the style of like fanboys and Games Workshop themselves, those kind of things. Instead, what happened was people just took the worst ideas they could and just tried to make it into a story. That was generally not the right approach.
Yeah.
So the one we selected was the one that was the most like something a fan would do when trying to come up with their own homebrew chapter, and how they would explain away all the terrible, terrible decisions they made. Anyway,
some GW shillery in there as well, which is good. Good to see.
Always great. So thanks everyone for watching the first Salt of the year, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye.